What are petrochemicals? Petrochemicals are organic compounds derived from petroleum raw materials, mainly naphtha or natural gas. The petrochemical industry is separate but connected to the petroleum industry. The petroleum industry mainly produces gasoline, diesel, and naphtha, which is one of the main raw materials of the petrochemical industry. Here is a diagram of the petrochemical industry. Upstream, we have naphtha, LPG, and refinery products as the main raw materials for the industry. Through cracking, we can produce C2, C3, C4, and aromatics. Further processing of these materials produces plastic from polymerization and other chemical products. The petrochemical industry is a large industry which utilizes many different processes. Among these, there are three major processes that can be found in petrochemical plants: steam cracking, fluidized catalytic cracking, and polymerization. Cracking is a process in which large hydrocarbon molecules are broken down into smaller and more useful ones. This can be achieved by using steam in steam cracking or catalysts in catalytic cracking. Polymerization is any process in which relatively small molecules, called monomers, combine chemically to produce a very large chain-like or network molecule called a polymer. Some common polymers include polyethylene in plastic bags, polypropylene in carpeting, and polyvinyl chloride in pipes. The following PFD is based on a plant which is Indorama LM Petrochemicals Limited in Nigeria. This plant produces ethylene and in a subsequent process produces polyethylene from ethylene. Here is the PFD for the production of ethylene. First, naphtha is cracked using steam in a cracking furnace. Second, the cracking products are condensed using cool water and cooled using cold oil. Third, this cold oil is recovered. Fourth, the sour gas are removed using columns. Fifth, C2 and C3 are separated using a column. Sixth, lights are separated using a column. Seventh, acetylene is removed using DMF. And lastly, ethylene and ethane are separated in a column. Here is the PFD for the production of polyethylene. Ethylene from the previous process is mixed with recycled diluent and monomers. Afterwards, it is pumped to a polymerization reactor and catalyst is added. The mixture is mixed to induce polymerization. After the polymerization, the activator is added and catalyst is removed. The polymerization products are then flashed in a tank to remove the solvent. Afterwards, additives are added to the polymerization products and it is extruded to produce polyethylene.
The next slides will show the following table which summarizes the most significant contaminants of LMA Petrochemical Company Limited as an example in comparison to the concentration limits set by the Federal Environmental Protection Agency. The table shown shows the limitation guidelines set by FEPA in milligrams per liter or ppm. It also shows the values for each parameters of the effluents of LMA Petrochemical Company Limited in milligrams per liter or ppm aside from temperature, which is in degrees Celsius, and pH, which is on a scale of 0 to 14. Processed water is water in contact with hydrocarbons or treated chemicals, while clarified water is processed water and sewage water combined, while final discharge is actual effluent discharge into natural water bodies after treatment. Concentrations of physiochemical contaminants are relatively higher compared to the heavy metals. Total dissolved solids comprise the greatest concentration in processed water, while chloride ions is highest in clarified water, and the total suspended solids, TSS, is greatest in the final discharge. The processed water is partly neutral with a pH of 7.51, however, in the final discharge, it became slightly acidic with a pH of 5.85. It is also shown in the table that the final discharge of the company is in compliance with the standard set by FEPA. On this table, there are 6 listed contaminants considered as hazardous waste and their corresponding sources. The first one is the total dissolved solids in the processed wastewater, which could come from toxic organics, heavy metals, spent acoustic, and many more. For the second one, we have total hydrocarbons in processed wastewater, which could come from the major raw material of the petrochemical plant, which is hydrocarbon. The third one is the total suspended solids in the final discharge, which could come from the inability of the final discharge pump to recycle the effluent within the pond or to return it to the equalization basin or surge pond. The fourth one is the total suspended solids in the processed wastewater, which could come from the storage of all processed wastewater from the different plants and laboratory in the basin for further treatment. The fifth one is the biological oxygen demand in the final discharge, found in the escape of organic matter from the biological treatment basin into the discharge pond. And lastly, we have the nitrates and phosphates, which is commonly found in the components of agricultural fertilizers commonly used by farmers in the Niger Delta area, which may be leached into the soil and river bodies.
Accumulation of the hazardous wastes have been reported to decrease the proper value and recreational uses of water, which can be fatal to both aquatic and human life. Significant amounts of nickel and cobalt have been reported to accumulate in food chains and sometimes result in human carcinogenic effects. Accumulations of lead have been reported to cause human abdominal pain, vomiting, drowsiness, and hepatic and brain paralysis. Since most of the hazardous waste are found in the effluent or discharges, it follows then that wastewater treatment processes are implemented, followed by appropriate disposal or further processing of the collected sludge. Wastewater treatment is summarized by Bala Subramani and Savarajasikar. According to them, the primary treatment primarily removes any suspended solid contaminants found in the stream with the use of API, CPI, or PPI separators, sour water strippers, and buffer tanks. The secondary treatment focuses on the removal of COD, BOD, and further removal of oil through coagulation, flocculation, flotation process, anaerobic and aerobic treatment. The tertiary treatment involves on further purification and removal of oils and other particles through sand filtration, membrane filtration, and chemical oxidation. These processes lead to a discharge of water within standards for surface discharge. Wastewater treatment starts with the removal of oil. Then the water is sent to the equalization tank, which is a holding tank that allows for flow to be equalized over a specific period of time. Further removal of oil is done before proceeding to nitrification. The water is then sent to the clarifier, where part of the water is sent back to the oil flotation process. The water then undergoes sand filtration followed by activated carbon filtration and is finally released as treated water. On the other hand, sludge undergoes dewatering first before it is sent to further processing and disposal. Several methods have been given by the Petroleum Waste Treatment and Pollution Control for the disposal or further treatment of the sludge. These methods are as follows. Surface discharge, offshore or onshore. This is only used when solid waste streams are according to the standard regulations. Underground injection, pumping of waste fluid or slurries down a well into a suitable underground formation, or the one-time pumping of waste down an annulus or to specially monitored wells. Burial. It is only applicable for solid wastes with non-hazardous materials. The burial of solid waste along a pit surrounded with a barrier and then covered with a cap. Secure landfills. These are generally specially designed and monitored land structures that utilize protective measures, clay or synthetic liners against migration of contained chemical waste via leaching or vaporization, and a system of pipes designed for the collection and control of rainwater and leachates from them. Stabilization, solidification, or encapsulation. These are quick and inexpensive waste treatment processes designed to improve waste handling, reduce surface area across which pollutants can leach, or restrict the solubility of hazardous constituents. Incineration refers to any process that utilizes combustion to convert a waste to a less bulky, less toxic, or less noxious material with appropriate air pollution control measures. Oxidation can be accomplished through chemical oxidation or other enhanced oxidation processes for degrading organic contaminants in oily wastes. Lastly, biodegradation or bioremediation is the process in which microorganisms alter or convert organic molecules into other substances or harmless products such as water, carbon dioxide, etc.